Earlier this past week, I had a chance to catch up with Dee Vick, head coach of the Hampden Sydney Tigers. Tigers projected second overall in the ODAC, already off to a 2-0 start, winning the Huntingdon College Classic, knocking off LaGrange and Huntingdon. They will open at home November 26th when Shenandoah comes to town in the South Region Hoops Challenge, and then November 30th, Eastern Mennonite comes to Farmville. Let's get a word from Dee Vick on what he thinks of his team, the league, and more on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Always love talking some ODAC basketball. Nobody better to talk it with than Dee Vick, head coach of the Hampden Sydney Tigers. ODAC season gets started for Hampden Sydney this Friday when they make the trip down to Alabama. And, Coach, let's talk about your team first off. To be second in the league is a preseason pick when Virginia Wesleyan is first and they're number one in the nation by a lot of people. I'd say it's still pretty good high regards for your team.
Yeah, I thought it was nice recognition for these guys. You know, we finished last season strong, winning 8 of our last 10, and we returned about 90% of our offense and defense. So hopefully we can take some of that last season momentum into this season.
What have you seen in the off season that gets you excited for this year?
Well, I've seen a higher level of commitment from our returning seniors and junior class. Both classes have really worked hard in the off season. They've transformed their bodies in a way in the weight room, and just tell they've been in the gym a lot more. I think they sense that we can be pretty good, and they want to make it a special year. So I'm excited about their commitment level.
You talk about getting hot last year to end the season. What do you think was the catalyst to get you guys to have such a good finish?
Well, I think a lot of it was we were relying on some young guys, and I think they just grew up a little bit. They got used to the competitiveness of the college game, certainly in conference, and I think we just grew up a little bit. We started the chemistry got a little better. 2 players in particular really stood out during that stretch. One was Randall Ward, a junior, and the other one was Fletcher Lumpkin, also a junior, who both weren't maybe the biggest contributor during that time, but just did the little things that made a big difference, whether it be making the extra pass or getting the extra rebound or setting the big screen. They were a big part of that late season run, and they've certainly carried that into this season as well.
Obviously, everybody knows the name Harrison George. He, in my opinion, is definitely a D1 talent playing for you guys in the ODAC. For people who don't know who Harrison George is, that might live under a rock, tell us about Harrison George and what he brings to the table for you guys.
Well, Harrison, to start off, has just incredible creativity as a basketball player. His basketball IQ is really high. He was telling me at one point he played point guard growing up when he was really young, and then he grew, and now he's 6'5", 6'6", and weighs over 200 pounds. So he's kind of moved into more of a forward type position. But I think playing point guard at an early age really helped him with his creativity. He's a very good passer. He's a very good scorer. He's got great touch around the basket. He loves the game. I mean, he's one of our hardest workers. We'll practice from 4 to 6:30, and I'll come back to the office at 10:30 to grab something, and he'll be in the gym shooting by himself. So he loves the game. He's a real gym rat. And the area that I'm really excited about right now with Harrison is he's really improved on the defensive end of the court. He's always been able to score, but he's become more accountable on the defensive end of the court, and he's been a sensational rebounder since he's been here. And a lot of that is his knack for the ball, and he's got great hands.
How much does Harrison make people better in terms of, if a lot of people are going to come into a game that they're so worried about Harrison George that, your third, fourth, even the fifth option can fly under the radar. How do you feel that maybe even gives the guys confidence that are those guys?
Yeah, he's a guy that will, if he feels a double team coming or if a perimeter defender is digging down into the post, he's quick to pass it out. He sees things. I sometimes think he's got eyes in the back of his head because he'll whip a weak side skip pass to the opposite side of the court that a lot of people don't see. He's very willing and unselfish to give the ball up to the open player, which is a big part of our offense.
Talk about some of the other key players that you guys have, maybe not only returning but coming in this year as well.
Yeah, it's a couple guys that have really stepped up are our senior and that is a real sign of a leader and a senior and a captain, and that's something that's really important for our program. And they have done that, and the other guys are following the lead, and they know what it takes to win at the highest level. I mean, we've played some ranked teams before, and they know what it takes, and so I'm proud of what they're doing every day in practice. A few other players to point out, I would say Patrick Corrigan has been really consistent through this preseason. He's working on his fitness level. He's getting in better shape, and it's really making a difference. I mentioned earlier Fletcher Lumpkin, who's really been playing well. Alex Potapov has gotten in better shape. He's playing more confidently and shooting the ball well. And a few of the freshmen that are really standing out thus far, I'd say the first one would be Cam Anderson from Charlottesville, and probably Greg Lewis from Hanover. Those two freshmen have done some really nice things so far. They got a ways to go, but they're physically ready right now, and we're working on the mental side of things. But as far as remembering plays or understanding our philosophy defensively, those things take time. But physically, they're ready to step right in and help us.
Most teams always, get together and set goals at the beginning of the season. Some people's goals are more loftier than others. What are the goals that your guys have set for the season?
Well, I think our biggest goal is just to focus on the task at hand, and that is each day of practice, each day, each game, and just concentrate on getting better each day. We just try to keep it really simple over here. Of course, we'd love to win the regular season in the ODAC conference, and then we'd love to win the conference tournament, which would be the one way to guarantee a chance to play in postseason. But our biggest focus right now is just to take care of today, and then prepare ourselves and to get better and go after it again tomorrow.
Before we close up shop, let's touch on the league real quick. I think you guys in Wesleyan probably are a solid one too. But talk about some teams that impress you coming into the season.
Yeah, I don't get caught up in the preseason polls. I think they don't really mean a lot. This league is going to be great again. I don't see Randolph-Macon or Guilford or some of these teams in Mennonite. I don't see them dropping off like a lot of people do. They had great players playing behind seniors, and Randolph-Macon, for instance, those guys, they learned so much by sitting their freshman and sophomore year playing behind guys like Jordan Brown and Dwayne Braxton, and they've learned how to win. They've seen what it takes to win, and they've had to pay their dues, and they're going to be right there in the end. And Randolph and Washington and Lee and Guilford, I mean, it's every single night it's going to be a battle from top to bottom, and we expect that, and we know that. So it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a great year for the fans, for sure.
Let me touch on Randolph real quick, because what Randolph did last year was magical, and I don't think anyone saw that coming. Maybe even late in the season, saw them getting all the way to the finals. Does that just prove that this league is so wide open that anything can happen?
Absolutely. And Clay's one of the best coaches I've seen at any level. He gets his kids to buy in and to play hard, and he really recruits a certain type of kid that fits his personality well. They're tough, they're disciplined, and they're a very, very tough team to play. We've had trouble with them the last couple of years, and now he's got some guys that are growing up and they're seniors, and they've been through it 4 years with him. So I expect they lost one really good player I know of. They got a lot of great players back, and I'm sure they're going to be right there in the end as well.
Coach, I look forward to talking to you on a regular basis, and even to making a trip up, or at least one, maybe 4 or 5 up to Farmville to see you guys play. Best of luck this season. We'll talk soon.
I appreciate it. We'd love to have you. Let us know when you're coming through, and thank you so much for your time today.
Will do. Dee Vick on the Sports Buffet.